OKR. That's short for Objective and Key Result. What is this concept about? Well, in most companies, they have established long-term goals that can be shown through a purpose statement, a vision, a mission, a long strategy document, or something alike. So anything that gives a clear indication of what the long-term direction is meant to be. And then on the other side, you have the daily execution. So the tasks, the daily decisions that every employee in this organization makes in order to get closer to these long-term goals. The challenge, though, often is that between the long-term goals and the execution exists a huge gap. And this is where OKRs come into play. OKRs bridge the gap between the long-term goals and the execution by defining the next important step towards these long-term goals. How do they do that? They do that by describing the next important step in the so-called objective. So the objective is an inspiring description of the next important step towards your vision or your next strategy topic. And they combine these objectives with measurable items, so-called key results. These key results give an indication of whether or not you are on the right track towards achieving your objectives. They look at the objective from different perspectives, and they measure a change in a relative or absolute value. Usually you have 2 to 5 key results per objective. Let's look at an easy example. I've always had an interest in the sport of triathlon. So when I moved to the German city of Hamburg, which is part of the World Series of the Professionals, I went to watch the pros compete in their races there every year together with hundreds of thousands of other people. It's a huge sporting event. So one day I made up my mind and set myself the long-term goal of once also successfully finishing the Hamburg Triathlon and run across the finish line at City Hall. Luckily, as part of these race weekends, there exist the so-called Jedermann competitions, meaning everyone can participate in the sprint or Olympic distance, even if they are not a professional. So I've set myself the goal, and I've already looked at training options and was in favor of participating in the rookie program, meaning 3 months up to the race, you will have an intense training preparation. So what's my next step? Unfortunately, at that point in time, I was not in the best physical shape. So naturally, the next important step towards achieving that long-term goal would be to be in good shape before the intense prep training would even start. So this I set as my objective over the course of the winter. How would I now be able to measure the progress towards achieving that objective in my key results? I would need to look at this goal from different perspectives. So what would it mean to be in good shape? What would have changed until February in my case? For example, I wanted to be able to run the 5K again in under 35 minutes. Might not look like a very ambitious goal to you right now, but for me at that point of time, it really was, because I haven't been in my running routine for a while. And that's the important point. You always need to look at where you start right now and where you want to go. Another perspective could be how many sit-ups I can do in a row, or for example, that I'm able to swim 1.5 kilometers without taking a break. So my objective was set, and so were my key results. And now I have a clear frame to then take massive action. Meaning, of course, then I would still need to actually go swimming at least once a week, look for running partners, and do a lot of other things to be able to achieve my goal. Let's look at this in a summary. So what's important to take away here? When we look at the objective, that tells you where you want to go next. It's inspiring and motivating. It's a qualitative perspective on the goal. It should be reasonable, but still be guided by the idea of a moonshot, so a very ambitious goal, not just something that is easily achievable. It should be set clear and concise. It should be independently attainable, from all the people involved in achieving that goal, and it should be achievable within the set time frame. And it should, of course, mirror the priorities of the whole team. On the other hand, the key results, they tell you how you know whether you are on the right track or not. They are clearly measurable, they are quantitative, they look at the goal from different perspectives, and they measure a change in a relative or absolute value. And by the way, it did work out long term.